Welcome to the April 21st Troy City Council meeting. We ask that all cell phones be silenced for the duration of the meeting. Tonight's invocation is by Mr. Pierce. Please stand and pledge.
Our Father, we humbly ask for your guidance in our decisions, your grace, for we are in need, your protection for our military and first responders, and your healing for our nation. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did your daughter like the scavenger hunt, or did you get a chance to talk to her? Yeah.
She said it was.
Mrs. Knight, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Twist?
Here.
Mrs. Sneed?
Here.
Mr. Whidden?
Here.
Mrs. Marshall?
Here.
Mr. Pierce?
Present.
Mr. Schilling?
Present.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Sievert?
I am here,
Mrs. Westfall?
despite the agenda for the contrary. 8 hours straight to the committee, to the meeting.
Motion to excuse Mrs. Westfall.
Second.
Motion to excuse Mrs. Westfall by Mr. Phillips, second by Mrs. Snee. Mrs. Knight, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Sneed?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Excused.
Mrs. Knight, will you please read the minutes of our April 7th, 2025 meeting?
Minutes of Council, April 7, 2025. Committee reports. Community Partnerships Committee reported regarding the Troy Strawberry Festival and also regarding the Troy Truck Yard event, and recommended that legislation be prepared regarding notwithstanding legislation for both. Finance Committee recommended legislation be prepared accepting recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council. Committee also recommended that legislation be prepared for the application of Project Sturgeon to participate in the Employment Creation Incentive Program. Law and Ordinance Committee reported that committee recommends amendments to the fee schedules based on public records policy and sewer use ordinance. The committee recommended legislation be prepared accepting an easement associated with the Hook School North School site as included in a Board of Education replat. Personnel Committee recommended that legislation be prepared to establish a second project manager position. Recreation and Parks Committee recommended that legislation be prepared authorizing an additional design build contract for the park maintenance building. Streets and Sidewalks Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing bidding for the sidewalk program phase 16. Resolution number R15 2025, accept recommendation of Tax Incentive Review Council, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R16 2025, supporting the recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council for the Troy Park TIF, was given first reading and was adopted. Resolution number R17 2025, additional contract with Broomball Construction for the park maintenance facility, was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R18 25, authorizing bidding for phase 16 of the sidewalk repair program, was given first reading and was adopted. Resolution number R19 2025, adjusting certain fees, was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 06 2025, accepting storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and bike path easements, was given first reading but failed suspension. Ordinance number 07 2025, amending Chapter 915 of the Codified Ordinances regarding sewer rates in connection and municipal industrial pretreatment program, was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 08 2025, approving expansion project agreement filed by Project Sturgeon for Employee Creation Incentive Program, first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 09 2025, authorizing use of public areas for the Troy Strawberry Festival, was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 010 2025, permitting use of certain real property to expand the Dora outdoor refreshment area for the Strawberry Festival was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance 011, 2025, authorizing use of public areas for the Troy Truck Yard event, first reading and adopted. Ordinance number 012, 2025, amending the public records policy for 2 areas was given first reading and was adopted. Ordinance number 013, 2025, fixing salaries and wages of certain employees to establish additional project manager position, first reading and adopted. There was a presentation by Jennifer Nisley, the Program Director, Child Advocacy Center at Isaiah's Place. And following that report and various comments, council adjourned at 8:23.
Move to accept the minutes. Second.
Motion to accept the minutes from Mr. Whidden, seconded by Mr. Pierce. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Schilling?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Sievert?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mrs. Sneed?
Yes.
Mr. Whidden?
Yes.
Approved.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports tonight. We will start with community partnerships. Mrs. Marshall.
This committee met April 14th to consider Troy negotiating jointly with other cities in the region for one price schedule for the next street lighting contract. The current 10-year street lighting contract expires at year end. Negotiations for the current contract were conducted by the Miami Valley Communications Council. MVCC is willing to negotiate the next contract on behalf of the participating communities. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared expressing the intent of the City of Troy to negotiate jointly with other cities in the region on one price schedule under which street lighting services shall be provided. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Sievert, Mr. Twist, and myself as chair.
Questions or comments? Mr. Schilling.
I have a question on the contract. There's been some discussion, council has asked to add the aluminum pole street lighting on West Main Street all the way out to the interstate, and part of the information we got back on that was that it's going to increase our maintenance costs. Those several lights that we're adding is going to increase our maintenance costs by $18,000. And so the question is that if we enter into this contract, will that help to reduce that $18,000, or is that $18,000 we pay to another entity?
So that $18,000 that you're talking about is not a maintenance cost, it's a lease cost, and it is an annual cost, and that is part of this contract. I would not anticipate that those costs would go down like most any other contracts. That's a 10-year-old rate, and so this is Miami Valley Lighting. They are our contractor, so we're renegotiating those rates. So if anything, that $18,000 will probably increase due to cost of living inflation.
Okay, just checking on that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Parks and Recreation, subbing for Mrs. Westfall tonight will be Mr. Whidden.
Thank you, Mr. President. This committee met April 14th regarding the bidding of a replacement bucket truck for the Parks Department. The truck replacement was included in the 2025 budget. It is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Board of Park Commissioners to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for a replacement bucket truck for the Parks Department in an amount not to exceed $185,000. This is respectively submitted by Mrs. Marshall, myself, and Mrs. Westfall as chair.
Any questions, comments? All righty. Citizens' comments at this point can be on anything that's on our agenda for 2 minutes. Please come forward to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and Mr. Kerber will be our timekeeper. Seeing none, we will move on. Resolutions. Mrs. Knight, will you please read Resolution R 2025?
Resolution number R20, 2025. Resolution authorizing the Board of Park Commissioners of the City of Troy, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for a replacement bucket truck for the Park Department. cost not to exceed $185,000. This is budgeted for this year. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules?
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mr. Pierce, or Twist, second by Mr. Phillips. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Twist, second by Mr. Sievert. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Moving on to our ordinances tonight. Mrs. Knight, can you read ordinance 06-2025?
Ordinance number 06-2025. Ordinance accepting storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and bike path easements as shown on the Board of Education replat and authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to execute any related documents. This is the second reading.
Before we're going to suspension, Mr. Sievert has a question.
I have a question for Mr. Kerber. If we're not going to have the requisite number of votes to do a suspension, can we just move that it go to the third reading?
Yes, Mr. Sievert. Yeah, if we don't have the motion, it would just automatically go to a third reading.
Okay, so I think I would move that we go to a third reading.
You have 6. They don't have to.
You need 7, right?
You need 7 to
You need
suspend the
7.
rules.
Okay, you need 7 to suspend.
We need 7 to suspend, so.
Have 2 abstentions.
But you can move to suspend, but if you want.
That's not my understanding, but we abstained last time.
There's no need to have a motion to suspend if you know the likely outcome given the last meeting.
That's not- that's
with
not-
Well, that's not, the question is, if they vote to suspend, or not to suspend the readings, they can vote for that and have no conflict, is that correct?
They just can't.
To get to the vote, they just can't vote to approve it.
It's
I don't think.
it's probably best not to do that.
Okay. We'll go to the third reading, which is fine. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Moving on. To ordinance 014-2025. Mrs. Knight, will you please read that?
Ordinance number 014-2025. An ordinance expressing the City of Troy's intent to negotiate jointly with other cities in the region on a one-price schedule under which electric light services shall be furnished to the residents of the city for the purpose of street lighting. This would authorize the MVCC to negotiate with Troy and I think 23 other communities on our behalf, and this would be a new agreement after 10 years. First reading.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Motion to suspend by Mr. Pierce, seconded by Mr. Twist. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Twist, seconded by Mr. excuse me, Mr. Schilling. Please call the roll, Mrs. Knight.
Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Mr. Sievert.
Yes.
Mr. Twist.
Yes.
Mrs. Snead.
Yes.
Mr. Whidden.
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Mr. Schilling.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, Mrs. Knight, could you please read ordinance 015-2025?
Ordinance number 015-2025. An ordinance changing the zoning of parcel ID number D08 105472 in the city of Troy, Ohio, from R4 Single Family Residential District and OC1 Office Commercial District to M2 Light Industrial District. This basically has the address of 191 Commerce Center Boulevard, has been recommended for approval by the Troy Planning Commission. There will be a public hearing at the next meeting. First reading.
So that will go to the second reading on the 5th. Is there any communications and announcements this week?
No, sir.
Mayor, do you have any comments tonight?
Just glad to see the grinding on Main Street and moving forward with getting that final push done, and looking forward to having West Main Street open.
Thank you. Director of Public and Service Safety, Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Several things. First of all, wanted to address concerns that we've been hearing about regarding the cemetery cleanup, which occurred between March 15th and April 14th, as it does every year. This is the same process that we have had for over 22 years. The rules and regulations have been in place for over 2 decades. Section 7.7 of those rules state that we have the same dates every year. We have 2 dates, 2 months of the year. Again, March 15th through April 14th, and then the month of October are our 2 cleanup, spring and fall cleanups. The rules are very specific on what can and can not be there and where. The reasons that we have those rules in place are not only for aesthetics and the enjoyment of all, out of respect for the 20,400 grave sites that we have there, but also to discourage vandalism, graffiti, theft, those kind of complaints we receive throughout the year. We do advertise extensively in advance of those events, the cleanup. We use social media, the news media, both news papers did publish an announcement. We do publish it on our website. We make announcements at the council meeting at least 1 month, if not longer. And then there is also posted year-round signage at the cemetery. It's unfortunate we can't store everything that we have to clear and clean up. We store the benches. We have limited space. But again, this is not anything new. It's not something that we recently instituted. Again, it's unfortunate, but it's necessary to keep what is a memorial park. It's not maintained by the park department, but we maintain it as if it were a park. So that's one item, unless anybody has any questions about that.
If I may, if you want to ask a question now.
Mr. Phillips?
Thank you. How long has the new manager been out there?
He has been a staff member for several years. He was promoted to foreman in 2023.
Is it the possibility that there was maybe some lackadaisical enforcement of rules in the past that may have led some into a false sense of security or something like that, and now there's more active enforcement or accurate enforcement? Is that possible?
You know, I'm sure that's possibly, that's one possibility. I'm not going to denigrate any of our previous foremen. They've done an excellent job, in my opinion, for 18 plus years. You know, every year is hit or miss as to what we can get and when. Some years, you know, we'll have a very rainy weather, whether it's spring or fall. Other years, the growing season will start early, and we have to get on mowing and trimming quicker, and we can't spend as much time cleaning up. And so perhaps more of it gets cleaned up during the year. So, I mean, there's a variety of possible reasons. You know, one of the sometimes we have found that while they think that our staff may have cleaned up the decorations, that it was stolen. You know, that happens as well.
Okay, thank you.
And there, to follow up on that, there are some leeways for them if they talk to the superintendent of having extra foundations or areas where we would not have to cut around, where they could put objects, correct?
Correct. There's a foundation that can be poured so that it's on a solid surface. The reason being, if it's on that surface, then we don't have to trim around the decorations, but we can simply mow around it. Another is a nice landscaped area that is clearly delineated and well-maintained. And again, that way we don't have to trim, which takes an inordinate amount of time compared to mowing.
I have a question.
Mr. Sievert.
Who promulgates the regulations? Are they done internally?
Those have been promulgated by the cemetery, recommended by the cemetery board, and they're approved administratively.
So council's not involved in that process at all?
Correct.
And do we have any designation between what I would call a de minimis item that's left and something that would be of obvious value?
No.
So it's
We can't
indiscriminately applied. If something's not appropriately there, it's thrown away irrespective.
Correct.
I don't have anything.
Anyone else? Continue.
Let's see, what else? June 2nd, we will be changing the hours that City Hall is open during the week. Starting June 2nd, the building will be opened Monday through Thursday from 7:30 to 5:30. We will be adding an hour, half an hour before and after, and then we'll close early on Friday. We'll be open 7:30 on Friday, half an hour early, and then closing at noon. That does not change accessibility to the building when there is a public meeting such as this one, or committee meetings, or any other public meeting that is properly advertised. And it does not change the fact that on certain days through the year, due to holidays, we are closed. We are going to be posting that extensively, advertising it extensively. We'll have signage on all the doors, letting people know. And then, of course, we're always available to answer any questions.
Social media, website.
Social media, news media, website, et cetera, et cetera. And I will continue.
Water bills.
I will continue to announce that here. Almost ready to start with the Halloween, but not yet.
Also the water bills.
Yes, we can have it on the water bills as well. Third thing is council earlier, I don't know, probably a month ago, accepted the donation by the UVMC Foundation of a new ambulance, and and council also authorized me to sign a contract so that we could begin serving primary EMS to the UVMC campus again. We did receive the ambulance. We are still waiting on a few pieces of equipment to outfit the ambulance. We have started serving the campus through 911, but that ambulance will be going into service on May 1st. And so we're real excited about that. I believe that we did send something out through social media showing the ambulance, but we do have a date when we want to start using it. That's provided that all the equipment is here, but we believe it will be. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Law Director, Mr. Kerber.
Mr. President, I have no comments this evening.
Mr. Twist.
No comments this evening.
Mr. Fallon.
Just very happy that our firefighters are safe and that there was no one in the house that they serviced that had the fire. Just very happy that they're doing well. That's all.
Mr. Pierce.
I had similar remarks, and I'm thankful for the outcome. That could have been worse, but it wasn't.
Mr. Wood.
Tough weekend. Obviously, we had a couple different families that had some tragedy this weekend. Glad to see that the community has already started to rally around to help out the family affected by the fire. It looks like it's a wonderful spirit to see in our city, and also really glad to hear that some of the firefighters there are free and clear and out of the hospital already with just minor injuries.
Mrs. Marshall.
My same sentiments, my thoughts and prayers go out to that family, and wishing the first responders a quick and speedy recovery.
Schilling.
I would support the other councilmen in their outpouring of support for our fire people and everybody else is involved in that. And other than that, I don't have any other comments.
Mrs. Snead.
Of course, support those sentiments as well, and thinking of that family and our firefighters. I just want to thank the staff also for considering the new building hours. I think those expanded hours on some days will be helpful to the community, and also change in hours helpful to our employees as well. So thank you for proposing that.
Mr. Sievert.
Thanks. I have similar comments for the Gooden family who lost everything in the fire. There is a GoFundMe, also the seller back by behind the BP basically is having taking collection. So the firefighters that were injured, as many of you know, my father was a firefighter for years. That holds dear to my heart. So we go out to them. The Neal family tragedy as well. To the police that discovered that scene, I understand it was very graphic, and people don't realize I was gone for 4 days, and our little idyllic town had a lot of tragedy over the weekend. But it is Easter season, and spring is springing, so we can try to look positive out of that. But we certainly appreciate the efforts of our first responders with regards to that, and that's all I have.
Thank you. As well to the firefighters, first responders. Yes, they both happened in the West End, in our neighborhood. For the wonderful postman that contacted the neighbors, that contacted 911 to find the people in Croydon. Please keep their relatives in your thoughts and prayers, as well as the people that fire. As Todd said, there is at, was it Bottle 21, 121?
So it's
Cellar 121. Somewhere there is a list of different things that they're in immediate need for. If you can donate to that, that's great. Other than that, everybody be careful. Yes, Main Street's getting there. Hey, we're doing it today, so it looks good. Hopefully that'll be done by May, or as soon as possible, but we're getting there.
This spring.
Yeah, that's spring. Other than that, we will move on to staff. Staff, any comments? All righty, we will move to the audience. Once again, you come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and you can have your say.
Hello, my name is Brandon Meyer. My residence is 249 Chapel Court. Thank you for your time. I'm here. I am the current HOA president of the Reserve Washington neighborhood. I come to you this evening to consider the connection of the Newcastle Road to the Fox Harbor neighborhood. Our community is set up for a limited traffic. Connecting these roads will cause a significant increase in traffic that pose safety concerns. The drivers on Washington Road drive well beyond the speed limit. Adding cut-through on Newcastle will invite them to do so in the same on our streets, where our children run and play and have come to accustom to the current traffic flow. Our neighborhood was developed and advertised as a small, quiet, low-traffic area. Changing this alters one of the highest qualities that most of us love and had large impact in our decision of buying or building in this neighborhood. This not only affects our environment, but also our property values will decline as well, taking this characteristic away. Lastly, we have already had issues arise recently with non-residents cutting through the field in the path behind us to get to our neighborhood, who have vandalized property in our neighborhood. We feel connecting this road will only make it easier and more accessible to do so. We do not welcome that in our neighborhood. I have with me a signed petition asking for the connection to be stopped, and I appreciate your time and consideration.
Questions, comments? whenever they're done, if they have questions, if you get that petition to Mrs. Knight, she'll
Absolutely.
file it for record.
What were those roadways that you're crossing?
So currently Newcastle connects to Washington, stops in the reserve at Washington, and then reconnects in Fox Harbor. And there's a gap there. The original plan was to connect it through Fox Harbor, bypassing the light at the corner of 41 and Washington. And being in that neighborhood, you know, we have very little traffic because of the fact we're all cul-de-sacs. And the through traffic, I think, will increase. We all feel will increase concerns.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Bradley Granger, 105 Crestwood Drive. I first want to say extend my sympathies to the Godin family. Darla was actually a good friend of mine and a fellow Miami East grad. She's about 5 or 6 years younger than me, but she's also a Miami East grad, and my heart goes out to her and her family. And in addition to, I should let everybody know, in addition to Cellar 121, Walmart is collecting items for the family as well at the customer service desk, as one of the kids is a former employee of the Troy Walmart. So if you want to donate there, you can do that as well.
Thank you.
Now, on to the cemetery. Mr. Titterington, your comments just tonight, while appreciated, raise a few more questions in my mind. You said that the enforcement of the cleanup policies was hit or miss. Now, if it was that hit or miss that there was such a problem, wouldn't the better thing to have done would be to post a notice that strict enforcement of the policies was going to take place? We do post the cleanup dates, and that's all well and good. But to me, this went beyond a cleanup. Some of these items that were removed were heavy concrete urns, and I'll tell you, those things are a bear to move. If you've ever tried to move one, you'd probably throw your back out. I don't see how this can go unnoticed and really without an investigation. I get that there is issues with movable displays that can be blown around the cemetery, such as wreaths and stuff like that. That I get. But to throw away heavy monumental items, that just doesn't sit well with me. And a question I have is, supposing I want to go out and do some landscaping. I have a relative that's buried out in Riverside Cemetery. My uncle is. If I wanted to go out and do his some landscaping at his gravesite, I was told tonight by somebody in this room that I cannot do that because I'm not the owner of the grave, and I'd like to know what rule in the rules and regulations of the cemetery that states I cannot do that. Is there any rule to that effect? Didn't think so.
No, Mr. Roselle,
First of all, it says if a family lot is purchased, that would fall in you're distantly related, but I don't think that's referring to any relative. I think it's a thing. And frankly, when you buy a lot, they give you this.
Okay, but that has not been enforced. From everything I've read in the Facebook post is that this has not been enforced in the last 20 years plus. So why all of a sudden are we starting to? Mr. Titting, let me finish, please. I reclaim my time. If this has not been enforced within the last 20 to 30 years, or if it has been hit or miss, as Mr. Titterington says, why, when the new cemetery manager took over, wasn't there something put out on social media that a strict enforcement of these rules is coming? That should have been done. But just to go in there, one fell swoop, and clean out a bunch of stuff that was probably rightly set according to the rules, is just, it's just wrong. And I think an explanation is in order. And if I were you, Mr. Rizzo, if I was up in your seat, I'd be convening a committee of the whole and have that cemetery manager here answering some questions. Thank you.
Mr. Titterington.
Mr. Chair, when you get a chance to watch the video, I said hit or miss as far as
Seasons.
weather and activity, etc. I didn't say that the enforcement was lax. I mean, that was your question, Mr. Phillips, and I clarified that it could be a variety of different reasons, and that is what's hit or miss. Items that are not rightly set are the ones that we are having to remove. As far as not enforcing it over the last 20 or 30 years, that is absolutely 100% not true. This issue became an issue because one particular individual was upset that one of his relatives' items was taken, and it went through social media. You can believe what you want to believe on social media at your own risk. We have enforced for many years the same policy, the same requirements, the same rules.
I'm Chad Morgan, 1114 Long Street. I'm the guy on social media that wrote that post, so it is what it is. So there was a little statue my grandparents put on my mom when I was 7 years old. I went out there 2-3 weeks ago, walked the neighbor's dog. I checked it. We have grave markers, or the plot markers with the family plot letter on it. It always sat right there. Thursday morning, I'm doing a drive-through. It's gone. Go up to the foreman's office, ask him, sorry, throwing it away. How heartless is that? Actually, a councilman reached out and offered to replace that, and I told him it was irreplaceable. But I have probably 100 pictures of violations out there in the cemetery. I've been out there taking pictures. I urge you guys to go walk and look at stuff on the ground. I just said it was on the ground. It was on my family's plot marker. It's been there years. Like I said, I'm 46 years old. It was there since I was 7. Now there was somebody Friday night that had kids' toys on their kid that died, and somebody took them and threw them away. That's just heartless. I mean, you guys got to have compassion. Yeah, it's hard for them to clean, but it's on something. It's not on the ground, and I was told it was on the ground. And he wanted to argue with me, and when I called a councilman, he wanted to be on the phone with the councilman, the foreman. I told him no, and then when me and him continued to argue, he said just yelled at me and told me to call my councilman. So I've talked to the state of Ohio, and they said that if they're going to strictly enforce that, that should have been addressed prior to the cleanup. And I talked to him this morning.
The state or the foreman?
The state, cemetery, whatever. I have paperwork out in my truck to go, or out my vehicle to file a complaint with the state because the city don't care. I mean, and then I said, so I got on social media and said I wanted to landscape my family plots because my aunt's buried behind my mom's buried there, and then there's 2 vacant plots. I knew my dad gave my uncle my aunt's plot. I didn't know he gave the other 2 plots to my uncle too. I get an email today saying I have to have a notarized letter to landscape my family plot. I have to go to my dad and have him notarize the letter stating I have to, so I can landscape my mom's grave. How ridiculous is that? And then I was going to do the empty lots too so people could have a bench there, because I go out there on Sunday morning sometimes, I sit there on the ground and I eat breakfast. All I got to say is this town's heartless.
What I will tell you is in regard to the ownership of the lots, which I found out through my cousin, because she wants to come back here and be married, it does go to the next generation. So if, who'd you say you had to go to your dad?
I had to go to my dad to get notarized,
Because-
letter stating that it was okay for me to
That is correct.
landscape my
That's
lawn.
not a Troy rule.
But that's fine. He'll do it.
Okay.
But like I said, I probably have about 200 pictures on my phone of violations of the same thing I was accused of on my mother's grave, stuff on the ground. And I've shared some with council. They've seen them. I urge you guys to go out there and walk, look at the graves, because there's stuff on the ground. And I don't want these people to lose their stuff like I lost my stuff, because the guy was heartless. We threw it away. Sorry. That was his answer. That was there since I was 7. And then, I don't like dealing with him because accusations has been thrown at me. So, I mean, it seems like every time I post something on Facebook, there's a comment. I mean, that's fine. It's social media. He's allowed to. But I can tell you right now, y'all need to go out there and just walk. Put your walking shoes on. I drove 15 minutes one day, and I probably saw 40 knocked over tombstones. Some of them pushed off their foundations by mowers. You could tell they were. Moved inches. There's one of them tall, 4-foot, pyramid kind of deals, knocked over, just laying on the ground. Take pride. It's your town. It's deceased people. This is almost as bad as them digging up the bodies and throwing them in that dirt pile back here. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Tittering?
So in no particular order, first of all, yes, you're absolutely right, Mr. President. We need to have permission from the custodian. Needs to be notarized because that is private property. There is somebody that is of record for every one of the 20,400 gravestones, and for anybody else to come out and do anything on that site would be a serious violation. Not quite sure I understand, but if the state does contact us, and every cemetery gets contacted from the state by complaints, but to say that the city didn't notice, I will reiterate, notify, and advertise. I will reiterate that we did advertise a good month or more beforehand on social media, on the news media, on our website, announcements at the council, and there is signage at the cemetery. Regarding pictures of violations, Mr. Morgan has published those on social media. We have investigated every one of them. Where there have been violations, we've treated everybody the same way. We did indicate that because of weather, because of burials that are our primary focus, it did take in some cases longer than the time frame. And when he noticed his statue gone, it wasn't April 14th yet, so we still had maybe a couple of weeks of the cleanup to finish making the rounds. It is 20,400 grave sites. That's quite a few, and so we're not going to get those in one day, in one night. Gravestones are knocked over all the time, unfortunately. It goes back to why we have the cleanup. We can notice the gravestones better when we're doing a concentrated cleanup, and by writing the gravestones as we can, it reduces vandalism, but vandalism happens. A lot of gravestones are knocked over by vandals, not necessarily by our mowers. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but that's not exclusive. Thank you.
The signage that states the cleanup dates, that's from X date to X date, correct?
I'm sorry?
The signage
Signage?
that's out there that says cleanup April
March 15th, March 15th
to April
through April
14th.
14th, and October 1st through the 31st, yes.
Okay, that is the period where the cemetery goes around and cleans stuff up, is that correct?
That's where we make a concentrated effort to clean up for the new season.
So what we're telling the public is, when those dates are there, you need to remove stuff or make sure it's allowable by March 14th,
April 14th.
or April 14th. Well,
April 15th,
well,
but
no, because that's when they're going around. But I'm saying, if they want to not lose anything, not have anything stolen, hopefully, they need to do it prior to the signage date
oh,
that
sure.
says we're cleaning up.
I understand what you're saying.
Is
Yes,
that
or by,
correct?
or by September 30th, yes.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just to clarify kind of what Mr. Morgan and you guys have talked about getting notary for permission. This is just for permanent changes, like if you wanted to pour a concrete pad there, you'd have to be the custodian in charge of the site to do that, not for,
Or have permission.
yeah, or to have.
If it's,
We're talking those type of.
Or to be buried.
if it's a foundation,
buried
it's something that the city is going to do with the authorization of the custodian.
Yeah, but those are the
Yes,
type of.
nobody can just go in and pour their own foundation, because we don't know where where you're pouring it, whether you're on the right site, whether you're doing it the way it needs to be done. So we have a contractor that comes in and will do that.
Thank you.
So do we have a contact person then for each grave?
You better have.
So there's a custodian for each grave? Okay, and, okay.
There is I don't know if you call it a title, but there is
Okay.
a grave
Right-
title.
Right
for each-
now,
it's
your
a
mom,
deed.
your mom would
Deed.
probably
Thank
own your dad's lot. She passes away, it goes to you,
To the next of kin?
yes. Well, the next
But
step,
I guess my question is,
which I didn't know.
but I understand the laws of descent and distribution. My question is, does that person, is that person on notice with the cemetery? If there's look, we've argued it, Patrick and I have argued this for forever, right? But if we do change to have a de minimis versus something that's of value on a cemetery area, do we have a contact person at the cemetery for that who could be contacted, is my question.
I don't know that we've got contact information that's that's thorough or current. But I'm certainly not, we don't have the staff to be able to follow up and contact everybody, Mr. Seaver.
I understand. And so it's at the so it's imperative that the person who owns it, just like your own house, is responsible for maintaining it. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Or providing permission.
And we do this twice a year.
Yes.
In October and April.
Yeah, but just to be clear, the rules are in effect all year round. Those 2 months we make a concentrated effort. I mean, if we're mowing and there's something in the middle of, in July, and there's something in the middle of the way, then we will have to take it, because we've got to maintain that property.
Anyone else?
How you doing? I'm Shane Miller, 510 Michigan Avenue. I just got one question for everybody here about the cemetery. When I was out there, I noticed that there were American flags that were thrown away in your dumpsters. Again, social media wants to talk. That's fine, freedom of speech. People want to say it's a $1.25 flag from the Dollar Tree. It doesn't matter.
It's an American.
You got an American flag right there. We
It's
all
an
say the
American
Pledge
flag.
of Allegiance. We salute. Why can't we get rid of those properly? I have those flags. I folded them up myself and a friend of mine, and we're going to dispose of them properly.
Thank you very
It
much.
doesn't matter if it's a $1.25 flag or a $50,000 flag.
I think you would find these 9 people would agree to that. And
Mr. Chair, and I can tell you that those were or are are being disposed properly. All of them were. None of them hit the ground, which is, improper flag etiquette.
I've seen it
But all
firsthand.
of them were disposed of where they were supposed to be, so,
That's all I have. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Laura Scheid, I live at 1142 Bunker Hill Road. I was just wanting to know, are we not even allowed to have solar lights? Because when we first got the grave site, we were told we can have solar lights. And we went over there and they were gone, and then we thought somebody had stolen them. And then we went back and they put another set on, and then they were gone.
The rules say here that solar-powered LED lights or candles are permitted within the landscaped area or mounted on the headstone.
They were just like right beside the cement is where we had placed them.
Mr. Chair, I can't speak specifically, but if you follow up with Charlotte, who's nodding her head back there, we can find out if we know about it. Those do get taken quite a bit. I don't know, they're attractive to somebody.
But those, I think those would be items that I would want to go out and pick up before the cleanup.
Okay. And then also he had bought his dad a stone, and it was like laying up against the stone. Like I went out there and took pictures of other people that had stones that are just still out there that's laying up against the stone, and those are still there, but ours got thrown away.
Once again, I'll defer to Mr. Titterton and you'll.
I mean, I know
and
there's
inform us.
rules and regulations, but when it was there for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you go over there and it's gone.
You're not referring to a headstone, you're talking to decorative items?
A plaque or an
Yeah,
angel or whatever.
it was just a little thing that was to his dad. But then there's other like military stones that are still out there, but the one he got thrown away.
My understanding from the cemetery superintendent is, if it's on a foundation, you went to them, an extra foundation you asked to have, those are allowable, and those should not be
But the other
touched by...
stones that are out there now are not on the foundation. They were leaning up against the stone just like his was.
Which would be on the headstone foundation.
No, it was on the ground, leaning up against the headstone.
But the headstone sits on a foundation.
I know, but and plus there was flags out there that's not even on the foundation. It's just right there sitting in front of the stone. I mean, it was a military stone, and it was just sitting in the grass, laying up against the stone. Ours was the same way, but ours got pitched.
Don't the military ones have?
No, this was a stone that somebody had bought and laid there.
The plaques go on the back of the headstones.
It was just a round stone. It's not from the military. It was just something that somebody had bought and had it there, and it just leans up. He's got a picture he can show you.
Again, it's a very specific example. I would ask that you give your contact information to Charlotte, and then Charlotte or Seth, who's our foreman, can follow up.
I mean, we even had like little lovebirds out there, and they were on the cement, or actually they were actually on the stone, around the stone, and those got pitched as well. It took me 5 seconds to realize that they were gone. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Do we have some type of, like, visual aid as you go in, like this is what's acceptable, or here's some basics of just what it is? Or if someone had a question of what's acceptable, could they walk that out and have the foreman or whoever?
Councilman, there
ask
are so
them?
many different types of decorations, and I mean, the sky's the limit on some of this.
What
It would
they
have
could
to be a
do.
billboard size sign, really, to
There is
cover
a
everything.
billboard sign on the wall of the office.
Okay.
There is a sign of cleanup dates as you come out, if you head out to Riverside from the chapel. There's another one that's on the west end that says the same thing. If you drive past the mausoleum, there's a huge sign that does describe some of the acceptable things, and the clause is, see the office for the rules and regulations. And there's another sign next to that, forget what that reads, and there's two signs down at the west end on Riverside as you make the curve
Yep.
along Orchard about dog ordinances.
Mr. Rezone, I have a question.
Yes.
I just want to clarify something with Mr. Tiddington real quick, because I don't want there to be misinformation coming from this meeting. The rules and regulations are going to be enforced 365 days, correct? And the cleanup is just during those periods of time. So, only because Mr. Rezone said something like, make sure those are off by March 15th, but that's not necessarily going to resolve the problem.
Correct.
They're going to be if there's issues here, we're not just going to look at them on a 60 days, right? Or the 60-day periods with the 30 days in April and the 30 days in October.
If it's in the road in July, you're going to move it.
If it's an impediment, yes. I mean, we don't do a sweep other than the March, April, or October timeframe.
Okay.
I mean, if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. But we don't do a concentrated sweep where, we're just trying to clean everything up. We're in the middle of maintenance at that point.
Right.
And, of course, doing their primary job, which is ceremonies and burials.
Right. So, I just wanted that clarification out there then, so everybody would know that you should check before March 15th, and you should check before, I'm assuming, October 15th, to make sure that everything is in compliance, so we don't have these heartbreaking issues going forward.
Probably a better thing yet is before you put anything out, go check with the superintendent.
Charlotte, could you come and talk about the flags? Because we have Boy Scout troops and things that come around and help remove the flags, and they put the flags out. We saw them putting them out last week. If you would explain that.
I'm Charlotte Colley. I'm the Assistant Safety Service Director. I oversee the cemetery with our cemetery foreman, and we do take care of all of our flags. The issue that the gentleman spoke about, there were some flags that were tattered, torn, and really poor condition that they did pull from various grave sites. They put those in the trailer. It was late on a Friday. They left everything there. They maybe should have brought those in. We had a discussion about that, but the issue stands that they were not in any way touching the ground. We did pull everything out and made sure that it was placed in proper containment. We will be disposing of those the right way. This was not a flag changeover. Sometimes those happen where our cemetery staff work with Boy Scout troops, and we go through the cemetery to pull out flags that are in bad and poor condition, and the Boy Scouts follow right behind and replace those flags. But because this was a cleanup and we noticed there were some that just looked really bad, that's why they were pulled.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Julie Anderson. I live at 74 Tamworth, and I just want to tell this council, I appreciate that you listen to the residents. all council around the table here. I appreciate that, and I'm getting clear for residents with President Rezone, Member Sievert, clearing up some things for residents. I'm here in support of my good friends, Laura and their son, and I guess I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Titterington. You say this was posted in the paper previous to the cleanup. What day was that? What paper? Troy Daily News, Dayton Daily News?
I don't remember the day. I do remember seeing them, and it was in both papers. It was in the Miami Valley.
Can I get that information from you? Because I get the Troy paper and the Dayton Daily paper, and I have never seen anything in either paper prior to this spring cleanup. I just saw the first article in the paper this past Saturday. It's after the fact. The thing I want all of us residents to understand is the situation is this all stems, council is not responsible for the administration. I think they made that clear to us in the beginning, which helped me. I think the real issue here is we have, Mayor Oda, I haven't seen you say a word. That's a very big concern to me as a resident. You have had nothing to say. These council members have had to try to pick and figure out what's up. Mr. Titterington, you've gone on, but I have talked to some business owners that have told me that in the past, when this stuff was pulled off of the grave sites, that it was put into like a holding room and people were able to get their stuff back and put it back on. So it's either here nor there, it's all over with. I feel a lot better that it came tonight. I feel a lot better about you council members. I was sitting at the Senior Center in West Milton last Wednesday at Coffee and Donuts, and they were tearing you council members apart because of this cemetery issue. And I do realize I had to tell them even, no, you need to look at the situation. You've got a mayor, you've got a public safety director. They're the ones responsible for these issues. You can only go on what you're told and what residents come to tell you. The issue, I believe, is, Mayor Oda, you need to be more involved with your community, with your staff. Mr. Titterington works for you, right? Yes. Okay. And I don't want to throw the foreman at Riverside under the bus, you guys. It's not even his fault. I have a question for you, Mr. Titterington. When this foreman decided to do this year, did he get with you? Did you know that he was doing this? And because for 20 years, you have not thrown people's stuff away. I know that for a fact, talking to business owners. So where are you with the people that you hire?
I'm not sure which business owners you're talking about or who would be involved with our cemetery operations, but I can tell you that we are very consistent. We have done this based on the rules and regulations for the past 20-plus years, and yes, a lot of stuff gets thrown away. We only have so much space. Our policy always has been the benches. If the benches are in the wrong place, we will put those aside, but by the time we put the benches, because again, for the fourth or fifth time, we have 20,000 plus grave sites. We have a lot of benches. Once we stockpile the benches, we give folks the opportunity to come and get those benches. There's very little room left. We don't stockpile that because we just simply don't have the room to stockpile the miscellaneous decorations, the plastic flowers, the pinwheels, the other types of decorations that show up from time to time, and that we sweep those 2 times a year. So I would dispute that we're doing something new this year, because we absolutely are not. And I would question any of the businesses, whoever those businesses are, that they would know any better than anybody else what our practice has been for decades.
Laura, 5 years. You've had that stone there. It's never been budged. 5 years. Mr. Titterington, I've been around a long time in this community. I'm 36 years in government. And the thing is, I just wanted to make sure residents understand this is an issue with you, Mayor Oda, and Mr. Titterington. This is not a council issue. but I appreciate you council members for trying to get involved, and I know it's going to get taken care of now that you're aware of it. Thank you.
Excuse me, Julie.
Picture,
May I say-
Mrs. Knight.
Julie, hi. I'm very supportive of the cemetery, and I've been with the city for a long while. And just for your information, not this past Christmas, but before the Christmas before, knowing the rules, knowing the dates, I didn't get out there to get my wreaths off my graves, 5 of them. I got there in time to get 1. The other 4 were already gone. And that was because I didn't keep track of the dates. So there might be some things that don't always have gotten taken.
Okay.
But I know my own things, and they know me out there.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they didn't clear it up like they should.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy to hear it. Thanks for letting me know that. But again, I'm going to finish with this. Mayor Oda, I just see you nowhere in this, so I'm just very concerned about you as our mayor.
I know you've heard this, but I would say, going forward, please stop in and talk to the foreman. He will gladly print you a list of the rules and regulations, whether you felt they've been enforced this year or 20 years ago or the whole time period. And he'll go over it, and there's exceptions in there if you want to keep stuff out there. I believe even on the benches, if you pour a pad or a foundation, they won't get moved. So, just read the signage, talk to the foreman, and hopefully this issue, the unfortunate issue that we've had in the last 2 months will not happen again. Yeah. Anybody else?
I would just state, probably
Mr. Twist.
We are sorry, as council, I think we would agree that some of your things that were on those graves were removed, right? That's hard, and it's not what we want. But think of it as a speeding ticket. I don't always get a ticket when I'm speeding, so sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't, and so not tattling on myself, but at the same time, this is a rule. It has been established, and sometimes they're going to find an item, and sometimes it might get missed. So they're not perfect either. So I don't think there was any intentionality to say we need to remove these things from someone's specific grave. It's just as they go through that cleanup, it has been established, and we are sorry that it was taken from those graves. But it, just like anything else, it's just some might have been taken and some might not have. That was it.
Anyone else? Any more comments from the audience? If not, we are adjourned, and the next meeting is May 5th.